Christine Lagarde and the ECB are pushing forward with a central bank digital currency and their roadmap. I'm going to get into what all of this means. We're also going to look at Ripple's CBDC solutions. Can the ECB select Ripple and the XRP ledger for their CBDC? We're going to get into some information. We're also going to look at some other CBDC connections with Ripple and all of that research into this video. Let's play this brand new clip. Here's Christine Lagarde, the president of the European Central Bank.
1 year on from the release of Mario Draghi's report on the future of European competitiveness, it remains essential to follow up on its recommendations with further concrete action and to accelerate implementation in line with the European Commission's roadmap. Governments should prioritize growth-enhancing structural reforms and strategic investment while ensuring sustainable public finance. It is critical to complete the Savings and Investment Union and the Banking Union to an ambitious timetable and to rapidly establish the legislative framework for the potential introduction of our digital euro.
Okay, so let me just show you what she's talking about here. So she said the European Commission's roadmap, digital IDs, digital currencies, and AI mass surveillance. What does all this mean? Let's break it all down for you. The European Commission roadmap for digital IDs, digital currencies, and AI-based digital surveillance in 2025 includes concrete regulatory, technical, and infrastructure milestones, expanding both citizens' rights and government capabilities across the EU. Key developments include the rollout of EU Digital Identity Wallet, the ongoing Digital Euro project, and the regulatory environment for AI that attempts to balance innovation, civil rights, and security. Digital IDs, EU Digital ID Wallet. The EU is rapidly deploying the European Digital Identity Wallet, the EU DI Wallet, aiming for wide-scale rollout and mandatory support for public and private services by 2026. The technical and legal foundation for the wallet is set to be updated in the EIDAS or ELDAS 2 regulation, which entered force in 2024 and mandates secure, voluntary, and privacy-protecting digital identity tools. Core features of the 2025 roadmap include secure key management, electronic signature functionalities, browser API support, and robust user interface updates. The Commission targets 100% of citizens access to secure digital identification and full online support by 2030. So they are getting ever so closer to pushing this on the public. Digital currencies and the digital euro update. The digital euro project, spearheaded by the European Central Bank, is an advanced pilot phase in 2025 with critical updates and technical experimentation underway. Ahead of a major decision and launch scheduled for late 2025, we're supposed to get an update in October about all of this. The digital euro aims to offer both retail and wholesale central bank digital currencies. Remember, wholesale is central bank to bank. Retail is business to retail. So something that you and I would go into a store, whatever it is in the EU that you shop at, and you can have a digital euro and spend that. And then central banks to bank is what the wholesale side is. The project focuses on user inclusion, stakeholder management, and harmonizing digital payments across the Eurozone states, potentially making CBDC's acceptance mandatory across the EU, which I believe is 28 or 30 member countries. Finalization of the digital euro rulebook and integration testing and with merchants and fintechs is ongoing, and fintechs is ongoing with consumer research to address privacy, accessibility, and utility concerns. AI and digital mass surveillance. The EU AI Act is primary legislative instrument regulating AI, including its application to surveillance. The act, being finalized in 2025, bans real-time biometric mass surveillance in public spaces, which sounds like a good thing, but does allow ex post, after the fact, biometric analysis for serious crime investigations with judicial approval. New institutions and technical infrastructure such as the EU Innovation Hub for Internal Security and Security Data Space for Innovation are being developed to support law enforcement with broader AI initiatives. So a lot of things happening in the EU. Keep your eyes open. Here is All in Crypto. Central Bank of France has stated a preference for using XRP as a basis for a digital euro. Let's go!
France has openly discussed Ripple XRP as a possible platform to Europe's central bank digital currency. And reiterates the preferential features of XRP as Ripple and XRP enjoy the trust of many banks as a model for CBDCs because it is highly centralized and it's based on permissioned networks where only certain network nodes can validate transactions, as opposed to decentralized and permissionless Bitcoin and Ethereum. Ripple proposal, let's zoom in on this. Ripple's proposal is an example of how some features of blockchain technology may be incompatible with the pursuit of CBDCs. However, there are configurations of that existing technology which can satisfy the security and speed required by such projects.
Cool. All right, let me give you some additional context. Ripple and the XRP Ledger have developed extensive connections to France, Europe, and the ECB through partnerships with the financial institutions, integration into central bank pilots, and strategic positions in payments and digital currency infrastructure. Remember, Ripple has a lot of different partners across Germany, the EU, France, that are specifically using Ripple's technology, either ODL, Ripple Custody, Medico. There's a lot of things happening right now all across Europe, and Ripple has their hands in a lot of it. Remember, Schumann Financial launched a euro-backed stablecoin called Europe. We're going to see more stablecoins launched on the XRP Ledger. Remember, it was built for it. Even if you have a stablecoin, it can still act as a bridge asset into anything else traded on the XRP Ledger. Ripple partnered with Paris-based Lemonway, a regulated payment provider serving marketplaces, integrating Ripple's on-demand liquidity solution to streamline cross-border payments and treasury management. The XRP Ledger Foundation was officially incorporated in France in November 2024 to drive ecosystem development, education, and technical expansion in the region. Societe Generale Forge, which is my favorite bank to say, a French financial giant, announced plans to launch a MiCA-compliant stablecoin on the XRP Ledger in 2025. Ripple's technology is increasing adoption by major French institutions. The Bank of France is trialing Ripple's private ledger for digital euro CBDCs, marking a major move towards institutional trust in Ripple's blockchain technology. Boom! We also talk about Ripple and XRP's interest into broader Europe. Ripple incorporated Ripple payments across SA and Luxembourg to pursue an EMI license, which will enable its RLUSD stablecoin and payments to operate across all 30 EEA jurisdictions. Ripple's RLUSD stablecoin has secured partnerships with Swiss-based Amina Bank and plans custody for trading through regulated Swiss corridors added by FINMA legislation and digital currencies. Ripple has partnered with Digital Euro Association, jointly advancing central bank digital currency research and best practices recognized for shaping perspectives on European digital currencies. There's also a ton of other information here. In April 2025, the ECB formally recognized crypto assets, including XRP, as part of Europe's financial future and began rolling out regulations aimed at institutional adoption. The ECB selected the XRP Ledger as one of the core platforms for its 12-month pilot program. So yes, the XRP Ledger was selected as one of their pilot programs. You wonder, are they going to choose it? Man, could you imagine the hype if that does come true? Also, it involves 500 financial institutions and validating infrastructure for tokenized settlement. We look at what's happening in America with NASDAQ and the DTCC. We know XRP has some connections in there with DTCC patents. This is starting to look like one shared global financial market infrastructure that is all interconnected, that could use a bridge asset to move seamlessly, saving hundreds of billions of dollars per year. What else are you starting to need here? The pilot utilizes Axiology's DLT system built on the open source XRP Ledger for wholesale regulated bond processes. Not only the bond market is $440 trillion globally, they've been working to DLT this in Europe specifically with Axiology and the XRP Ledger. Technical validation by the ECB through currently deployed and permissioned environments. The ECB's digital euro trial may lay groundwork for Ripple's pivotal role in the future of Eurozone digital currency infrastructure with implications for broader EU adoption. Spicy! All right, we got more.
Together have decided at central bank level to go with a digital currency. So central bank digital currency is coming alive.
Right now, digital currency sounds very edgy and kind of alternative lifestyle, but it's becoming the mainstream. And so the banks, the largest banks in particular, are very aware of this. They're investing in the technology, and they will provide this service as soon as it's profitable enough.
I have the good fortune of being the CEO at Ripple. Ripple sells a set of technologies to banks and other financial institutions that dramatically accelerate the ability for banks and regulated financial institutions to settle transactions between each other.
Some say Ripple could be the next Bitcoin. What do you think, Brad? Is that a compliment that Ripple could be the next Bitcoin?
Well, I think if we're solving a real problem and it's at scale, then I think it's a compliment. I think the most important thing that is going on in crypto is understanding what is real and what is just hype.
Let's go. All right, Mr. Mann also has this clip, Digital Euro Conference. Listen up.
We become now a think tank that is specializing in CBDCs and stablecoins. So that's like what we do, an independent voice. We want to bring people together. We want to impact the discussions on digital money, be it stablecoins and CBDCs. So we are also in discussion with lots of European, supranational, national institutions when it comes to, both regulation of stablecoins, use cases of stablecoins, but also design aspects of CBDCs that we will for sure discuss today. I think that's one of our key topics for this morning, at least, as well. And yeah, this is in a nutshell what we are doing.
All right. Also here, the National Bank of Georgia on the partnership with Ripple.
Started CBDC project as well. Still on the very initial stage, but we are glad to announce that we invited well-known Ripple company who helped us with the piloting stage. Also, we will be advanced.
All right. Also here, Mikkel busting out some information. Ripple's shocking move, CBDC platform without XRP. Let's go.
Ripple's new CBDC product has no direct need for XRP. Fact of the matter is we hear this stuff come up constantly. And every single time it comes up, Ripple later proves that they are 100% committed to the XRP ledger, and XRP is the beating heartbeat to everything they're doing. The first time we really heard this concern come up was when Ripple launched their payments platform, RippleNet. Ripple created a payments platform that was better than Swift. It was just a better centralized messaging database where companies could message each other for essentially payments that needed to take place. This is essentially what Swift does, but Ripple said, hey, we have better engineers, we have better software tech people, we can probably build a better messaging platform. So Ripple built that better messaging platform. Instantaneously, all the FUD was that Ripple didn't need XRP. XRP was just to fund RippleNet, and XRP in the equation was pretty much pointless. But what the fudders failed to point out was that the product got exponentially better when you used XRP. You could message people with just RippleNet. You didn't need XRP, but you still had high fees because you were relying on the outdated rails of the banking system. You were also likely waiting 3 to 5 days for the payment to settle. So what people failed to take into account was that no, you didn't need XRP, but XRP made the product exponentially better. If you think Ripple is building products that don't ultimately tie back to the XRP ledger, you are absolutely insane. XRP is the beating heartbeat of everything Ripple's going to be doing going forward. Ripple knows this. Ripple knows XRP is the golden goose. But if they can't convince an institution to adopt XRP today, it makes absolutely no sense to push away that institution. What Ripple is going to do is build a trap that gives that institution what it wants now so they can ultimately get that institution using XRP later down the road.
Really quickly, there are analysts that say there's only about a 1.5 billion to 3.5 billion XRP left on exchanges. The rest is in Ripple's escrow, and the rest is in institutional or Euroneized wallets. So you start to wonder with this ETF and demand that's coming in, if we start getting some really big news, like the ECB or the Bank of France decides to use Ripple's technology, the FOMO, people tripping over themselves to buying whatever's left on the open market for XRP, we are going to be able to beat all of these people to the punch. And this is where XRP's value can skyrocket. I'm not going to play this video because this video is so old. We've all seen this 100 times, but Brad Garlinghouse from day one has been in the room with some of the biggest leaders in the central banking ecosystem for the last decade. Ripple has been invited in to all of these private boardrooms, all of these NDAs. What do you think they're talking about here? It's the future of the entire financial system, and Ripple has always had the way in. They're going to say everybody had the opportunity to buy XRP off the open market for the last 13 years. Shame that you didn't get the information in time. You're talking about the mainstream news didn't tell you how important this technology was. Oh, I'm sorry about that. the 2 or 3 million people that actually own XRP and HBAR and XLM, those are going to be the future players of the entire freaking world. I love this stuff, man. This is just pumping me up. Also, Stellar, very important to mention Stellar. The BI selected Stellar in 2021. Project Genesis. Let's just play this clip and we'll end it here.
In addition to that, while it was early days in 2021, we decided to not just look at permission-based ledgers, but also at public blockchains. And so the two prototypes that you can see if you look at the report, one of them was built on a public blockchain, and at the time Stellar was chosen. Now, 5 years on, it's only taken 5 years, and a lot of the capital markets instruments are actually piloting being placed on public blockchains as opposed to on permission-based ledgers. I would note the other prototype was built on a permission-based ledger.
All right, guys, you have the information. Keep learning, keep growing, keep grinding. The next few years are going to set us up for generations. Let's understand the technology. Let's understand what we're doing. And if you ever need help in the crypto space, go talk to a financial advisor that understands the crypto space. If you talk to one that has no idea about crypto, it's pointless. You got to talk to someone who truly understands it. Thank you so much for supporting this channel and the growth. I owe you everything. I love you guys. Let's go.